Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kevin coming to you live from my home studio office, and I'd like to introduce this week's activities and topics in a little bit more detail. Firstly, thank you for your efforts last week. Saw some good discussion threads, and so I encourage the effort. I should have your feedback ready for you by end of the day Wednesday, so please look at that. If you acknowledge it before your submission of week 2 assignments, I will add, I'll add 3 points to your written assignment for this week, assuming that it was also submitted on time. So this week we're going to look at hiring, terminating, and disciplining employees. Just interestingly, here's something to consider. Maybe we'll talk about it. Is last Thursday, pretty much in a meeting most of the day, that resulted in an employee being discharged. And I told a friend about it that evening, and her question was, well, did you have a stack of warnings and things like that? And I said, no, it's the first time we ever talked to the individual. And she said, well, how could you do that in today's litigious society? And anyway, consider that. Why would an employer make a decision to terminate somebody's employment when there's so much litigation and concern for wrongful termination? So generally those are our objectives, to look at hiring, firing, and disciplining. Our topics include staffing and fit. So that's a pretty important notion these days, this idea of fit with an organization. And we have 2 assignments in modules 4 and 5 to do some reading. And of course we have discussion threads and a written assignment. The discussion threads has to do with successful characteristics of teamwork and also dysfunctional characteristics of teamwork. So I look forward to reading your threads and your contributions there. I'll also give you a hint that many models that share with us characteristics that are necessary for teamwork have 6 things. I'm thinking of one that has 7, so I would encourage you to find one that has 7 because the last component is pretty important. Sometimes it's missed. And lastly, we have a written assignment that addresses the hiring procedures in your company contrasted or compared with hiring procedures of other organizations. And maybe you could look for best practices as your research investigates these areas. I'm looking for about 800 words to 1,200 words. That's 2 or 3 pages. I'd like to see a title page and a reference page. Please include citations if you're using material from another source. And let's see. Try to hit like within 10% of either what were the minimum requirement or not to exceed 10% of the upper limit. So if you're substantially less than 800 words, then I might think your effort is suspect. If you're substantially more than 1,200 words, I might think you need to go back and do some editing and some revising, and maybe that's just mean-spirited too. I don't know. I'm just kidding. So anyway, do your best work. I look forward to reviewing it. And should you have any questions, please contact me either by email or by my phone number, both of which are readily available in previous publications. So have a good week, and I look forward to seeing you online. Thank you. Bye-bye.